and invite our keynote for this morning. Our keynote speaker for this morning. I will not mention the name. I want Elijah to do the honors.
Good morning. We've eaten, we are all alive. I don't know why we are still sounding as if there is no internet on our phones. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Oh, we first do an opposite game. We first do that one. Because I'm seeing people are too calm. Okay, we can stand, then we first do that one. We all stand up. But DJ, don't play the other song. We are not going to cut our necks today. Eh? I hope we all remember. I'm not giving the instructions again. Okay? Who remembers the game? You all remember the game, not so? I hope we are all standing. I see some people are still seated. Those that are eating, you will continue later. At least we have food that is not expiring. Okay? DJ, you ready? As we get ready, do you know the person close to you? If the person close to you was the same person yesterday, switch. If the person close to you was the same person yesterday, you do what? You switch. You can't know the same person for 3 days. Really? Eh? Oh, yeah, people here, eh? No, don't change positions. Now these ones are just switching positions. No. You move to the east. You try the east coast. Okay. Are we ready? Let me stand here. As we are switching, we'll be moving as we. Shake your bodies, shake your bodies, shake your bodies. Remove the sumbusas, remove the cookies. But some of you, how you stretch. Regina, is the medical kit nearby? Because let some people stretch. Okay, are we ready? Right leg. Okay. We can sit down. Thank you. So if any of you starts to yawn, if any of you starts to yawn now, then we know for you didn't sleep. You might have passed nearby night riders, because if you're yawning at this time. Anyway, it's an honor. I don't know, can you hear me? It's okay. It's an honor that this morning we are blessed with the presence of a big person, not only in the sports fraternity, but also in our country, and even on certain matters we talked about yesterday, okay? So without wasting a lot of time, It's my honor to invite our boss, some call her mother, others call her athlete of the, is it century? She will provide her CV, because at times we do a dishonor to people when we start pronouncing whatever they earn, what they do, or their profiles. But please let us invite the Secretary General of the Uganda Olympic Committee, Madame Beatrice Aikoro.
Yeah, thank you, Elijah. I know use myself in a African or Ugandan situation. When you introduce yourself and you mention your son name, people should know where you come from. If they come from your area, they'll know what your name means. So I hope when I introduce myself, pronounce my name, there's somebody who can identify where I come from. And if you don't, it means you teachers didn't do a good service for you when you are teaching what? History. Right? History. SST, but history, because they tell us where you come from, Ugandans, where you come from. So I should be able to know a name. Mirembe is a Muganda name. So when I mention my name, you should know where I come from. So I'm called Beatrice Aikoro, and I don't want to ask a question because I may embarrass some people. Yes, Beatrice Aikoro. I think you should know where I come from. Yes, this is a sports workshop. I was supposed to have talked to you at around 9:30, and we are around 10 o'clock. In sports, I have a sports of athletics. When you reach late in the call room, you cannot be allowed to participate. What is that? It means discipline, timekeeping, time management is very important. But I'll try my best and also hope that this microphone will not continue to whisper as I talk, because I can hear some other voice around that. The representatives of municipal of Entebbe, I don't know if they are present here. I was made to understand we have people here. The government representatives, both from central government. I expect somebody from Ministry of Internal Affairs. If you are police, so you are from the central government, and also from the local government. I hope we also have some religious leaders with us here. Head teachers from various schools, especially those within Wakiso and Entebbe. Sports teachers, coaches present. I was seeing when you are doing that recap, there was a lot of exercise, and I could see some of you already very active, and former or retired athletes. Parents, I know in each one of us, even if we do not come here as a parent, we're all parents in one way or other. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Yes, I'm the Secretary General of Uganda Olympic Committee. I know it's the third day. Some of these things you already know them from the first 2 days. It's my honor to join you in this engagement workshop where we share our thoughts on how sports can be used as a strategy to prevent gender-based violence, what we normally call it GBV, within our communities, in our homes, where we work. The theme for today, I know we have, each day had its own theme. The theme for today, session enjoins us to understand the contribution of sports in the fight against GBV and take action. We don't learn these things and just leave it here. What we discuss, the actions we have, we will make sure when we get back to our places, workplaces, our homes, we must take action. We should be able to generate dialogue on how we can use sports to reduce and prevent the vice of gender-based violence in our homes. And I hope since Monday or Sunday, since Monday we've been learning. Every time we're learning something, and we keep on piling them. I know you've also gone through what gender-based violence is, but I want just to do a recap on the same, so that we're on the same page. If there are things that I may say which may want to undo the other, you know that's an addition. It's not something that is going to cancel what you've already learned. Gender-based violence comes in different ways. It refers to any harmful act directed at an individual based on a gender or unequal power relations. It only applies when you say gender-based violence. There are other types of violence we have, but when you talk about gender-based violence, it's something in which you're going to pinpoint a female and a male. That's why it's called gender-based violence. These may include physical, sexual, and emotional abuse, or harassment, exploitation, or coercion, and abuse of authority or power. These are just a recap of what you already learned on day one. And GBV can happen to anyone, but mostly it affects women and girls. GBV can happen to men, right? We've seen men who they complain and say, my wife, but of course the culture tells us if a man cries, people call you what? A woman. Those are things that we were trying to understand. In sports, GBV may manifest differently for male and female athletes. And for those who are coaches, you may know this, or those who have been athletes. GBV in the general community is different from the GBV in sports. And this may include abuse of male athletes by coaches. We've seen that. And you did a bit of safeguarding yesterday, and you'll be able to see there's a very thin line between safeguard issue and gender-based violence. Gender-based violence is a part of safeguarding issue. We've seen cases where male athletes are abused by senior athletes or the support personnel. These are the people who help the athletes. They coach the physiotherapists, the team doctors, the managers, in some cases, the drivers, depends on if you have a club, vehicle, or even the cook if there's a residential training. It may also take the form of hazing, initiation of rituals. I was watching a movie, I think, by one of the schools, Nyakasura, I think, in it where you find the young boys, you are the first year, we call it freshers. When they come to school, they take you to a swimming pool. And this is organized by males. They go to a swimming pool, regardless of whether you know how to swim or not. You are told to undress and they push you into water. I think some of you have watched that movie. That is something which is in line with what we're talking about. Rituals, initiation, and in some of those, that's where you see the gender-based violence. And it happens only to boys. I didn't see the one for girls, but for boys, that's what happened. And you see a boy who has never been in water, apart from drinking it at home. You see how he can struggle to be in such a situation. Of course, gender-based violence is one of the underlying causes of inequality and poverty in Uganda. That's according to National Development Plan 3, which has been also translated, pushed forward to Plan 4. GBV is a widespread in the country and affects all people irrespective of their social, economic, and political status. Last time we heard about a member of parliament, I think it was a woman, who was abused by the husband. The husband was not a politician, he's not a rich man, but because she's a woman, she was being abused by the husband. And I'm very sure there are some of those women MPs who may also be quietly abusing their husbands. Those GBV things always they happen. So it is regardless of whether you are a rich person, you're a poor person, you're educated, you're not educated. It is a vice that lives within us. It's very, very difficult for us to be able to address this. In whichever manner, and if the victim, it is a harmful act directed at an individual based on gender. You do it because the other one is a woman. Do it because this one is a man. In Uganda, gender-based violence is driven by poverty, versus issues of human rights and wider gender inequalities. Negative social norms, practices, and values with patriarchy where men, which promotes sense of entitlement. Because I'm a man, I'm entitled to this, and abuse of power because I'm stronger than you. Privileges and opportunities are some of the drivers of GBV in our country. Gender-based violence is deeply rooted in the social and cultural norms of social groups in Uganda, and it change is very slow and causing resistance. We know this, where we all come from. We have 65 groupings, original 56, but 65 ethnic groups in this country. Each one of them has its own values, practices. Some of them are good, some of them are not. So gender-based violence thrives in each one of those groupings, the 65 groupings of this country, even including the ethnic minorities, some of whom are less than 1,500 people. Even within those small groupings, gender-based violence exists. It's deeply, as I said, deeply rooted in social norms, and what we practice as our, what we call it, tribes, is what make it to thrive. We have seen GBV increase because of knowledge of using digital devices, social media, and all those, and of course the resurgence of ethnic conflicts or climate change and or climate-related effects, like the prolonged droughts, heat waves, press on natural resources that create inequality within the households and the community. We've seen this happen. In Uganda, we are not all a green place, green belt. We have areas which have droughts, and if you go to Karamoja, if you go to North, at times those inequalities create challenges within our households, within the community. So that's why you find people fight. Women are used to work more than the men, or the children have to drop out of school. They are used to hazardous labor because they need to provide for the family. And these are, if you are denied an opportunity because you're a girl to go to school, that's gender-based violence, because you don't have access to education. While the boys go to school, you girl, you stay at home because you have to provide the family. So these are aspects that we look at as gender-based violence. Uganda exhibits significant gender disparities. We have said, looking at our ethnic groupings, the 65 is big, and also it's mainly feminine. When I say feminine, it's women who are more affected than men. 95% of women and girls have experienced some form of violence. And each one of us, when I say 95%, it means even each one of us in this room, maybe 1 or 2, even 0, have ever experienced gender-based violence in any form. And I've also experienced significant gaps in economic and educational empowerment compared to men. There are times when you find your brothers, those who are brothers, when your brothers are going to school, you as a wife, especially, as a child at home, you are forced to stay at home because your mother is sick, because your younger brother is sick, because you have to take him or her to hospital, all of that, while the boys go. What do you miss out? Miss out on education. This it looks very simple. This is what I'm saying. I'm giving a recap. You went through all this detail. But to understand the small things that at times you don't see, things that pull it back, bring inequality. And that inequality is because you are a woman, because you are a man, and that's what is gender-based violence. We've seen issues of teenage pregnancy, early marriage, and gender-based violence, which at times happen in sports in the form of sexual harassment, which deter and limit the participation and inclusion of girls and women. When you look at your numbers, many over here from rugby, when you compare the number of athletes, rugby players to the male to female, how many are we? Are we equal number? Maybe not. We may have 1,000 men playing rugby and women maybe 200. That's already disparity. Why? Because of certain factors that limit, that we cannot have access to the sport. One of the key areas of concern in GBV is the controlling behavior of those who perpetrate it, and this gives birth to economic violence, workplace violence, involvement in hazardous work, that is the child labor or the labor or child abuse, among others. Those who watched or those who were following in 2024, we lost an athlete. Who remembers her name? Who remembers her name? An Olympian. We lost an Olympian. Who remembers her name? I can imagine. Elijah, Harriet, we're not doing well. Yes, we lost an Olympian because of GBV, because of control of a property the woman accumulated, the man wanted to take over, and we had to lose her in the process, and that is gender-based violence. For instance, there are times when you're an athlete, you find people ask you, where have you been? When you come late as an athlete, where have you been? And the answers you are not able to explain because I've been in training, I've been in sports, I've been in this. These issues bring challenges. There's that suspicion that possibly this person has come home late because has been with other people. Even if for sports people, when you look at our program, 5 a.m., I didn't explain, I was an athlete, retired, so many years. 5 a.m., you're on the road. 10 o'clock, you're on track for speed work. 5 p.m., you are training. In rugby, maybe twice a day. For athletics, we need it three times, at times even 4 times a day. And all of these take a lot of your time from home. And if you have somebody, a partner or somebody at home who's always going to follow your movement, it's very suspicious. This can bring in some disagreements and lead to gender-based violence. Even some verbal words to you, an athlete, like saying, you're not performing well, I've given you this, you are not improving. They look small, but they affect our confidence. They affect the way we want certain things to be done. And once, and of course, there are other areas of GBV overload in this country. We know in areas from Acholi, who comes from Acholi? I know there's so many districts now. Who comes from Acholi? I'm talking about the original, our history. None. Yes, actually we have very high level of gender-based violence, a different type of gender-based violence. Busoga, we have North Buganda. North Buganda is the area of Nakasongola, Ruwero, that's the North Buganda, I hope. And then the south is the Masaka and the area. So we have, when you look at the GBV map of Uganda, you see these areas are overloaded. It means there's a lot of abuse, GBV in those areas. It doesn't mean that in other areas there's none. They are there, but are different types of GBV. In many cases, the physical abuse, women have initiated physical violence against their partners. I've said the issue of men dying silently, but of course with the time, with the awareness, they are slowly coming out to bring out this vice so people can be able to respond to them. GBV does not know a level of education and social status. As I said, you may be a powerful man. When you come to a function like this, you can speak with the power. When you go home, your wife is stronger than you. She can throw things out. Yes, she can throw things out. You see, you humble yourself. You curl your tail like a dog which has been beaten. But when you're out here, you talk. But all of these are things we're saying. When you get home, you must have that peace. Not to be scared of a woman who even gives you food and all those smiles, but under it, there are things that you don't understand. There are also emerging new forms of violence against women and girls, such as online violence, attacks by strangers. We have 49% of women in Uganda reported having experienced online violence and harassment. That's according to UBOS. This 49% is big. This is like half of us have experienced, especially those who are on social media. People have always said certain things to you. We saw a case of a young boy, I think in Australian. I was watching the TV yesterday. The mother thinks that that boy was harassed, was abused by online users, and the boy had to take his life, unfortunately. And these are things that are really worrying us as a community. Of course, men and boys are also becoming victims or survivors of gender-based violence. GBV at times calls for help from local leaders. That's why I'm happy that we have local leaders here. We have a health facility. If we have people from the health sector who are present here, we have police, and I assume we have a police here. Normally when we want to report, we rush to police. And the religious leaders, I saw a colleague coming in blue, that is a religious leader, and also family members. But of course, how we are able to get support depends on where we are located. People in urban areas quickly run to a police post or police station when they are abused. In the village, you cannot run to police. If you go to police, they say you are reporting your husband, you are reporting your wife, it becomes a big issue. What do? You go to family members, to the neighbor, because in some of our settings, apart from Buganda, when you are from the same tribe, you are the same people, same lineage, your uncles, your aunties, they're all around you. So whoever you go, the neighbor is your uncle, is your relative. That's the way we normally handle this in the rural setting. So the disparity between the perception of GBV makes the vice thrive, because we don't understand what gender-based violence is, and things that we think are okay with us, which are gender-based violence, we take them for granted. And for that, we continue to see that happen. It's not dying. It has been there, time immemorial. It is still continuing, even more with issues. We saw the issue during the COVID. People are good when they don't stay together for 24 hours. When they only have 8 hours, they are very friendly. But when they are made to stay 24 hours, they start realizing, understanding the challenges within each other. That's where gender-based violence comes. The black spots. When you see your wife with the makeup, always you come smiling, she has a makeup. The day you see her without a makeup and without all of those things, you start asking yourself some questions. It brings in some of these issues. I'm just saying this, but we know the reality of what we face out there. This, of course, now calls us to make sure that we have some resilient mechanism for help through positive social norm change, ensuring us that we try to understand that we are all equal. Both men and women were equal. When we understand that equality aspect, you'll not be able to abuse your partner, abuse your brother, abuse your sister, abuse your mother, abuse whoever is within your community. Making traditional cultural institutions integral part of the process. Because we said GBV is part of norms derived because of the belief systems. Unless we bring the traditional cultural institutions to understand the dangers of some of these practices, it's going to be very difficult for us to be able to understand. That's why we need them to be here. The religious leaders, we need them to understand certain things which are good, yes, but how do we make sure that both men and women have equal access? We need the private sector and male engagement in the fight against GBV. At times, because gender-based violence in Uganda is a woman, it's feminine, we think it is all about women. We need to engage men to understand. They need to understand the impact of GBV on every one of us. If they do understand, then it will make things easier. We need a strong women movement and civil society involvement. These are special programs. There are special programs in different sectors that reduce the gap in the gender inequality and provide equality support services. We know many of these programs. Within where we live, there are some programs that have been put forward. Those, I don't want to repeat His Excellency the President. I'm going to say Mioga, the what, all those people. These are programs which are put there to address issues of inequality. If there's inequality in a home, there's going to be gender-based violence. There's going to be violence because the one who has more power because of the resources provided by government or by somebody is the one who becomes a victim. However, one area that at times we've not looked fully is the area of sports, the power of sports. Sports ecosystem is evolving at a faster rate all over the world. We know those sports used to be traditional, it used to be for those who are able to get out, but now sports is moving on. We have more sports. When I was an athlete, we had, in our village, we knew about three. It was running, netball, and football. We did not know the rest of the sports. But in this country now, we have 52 sports. Of the 52 sports, I can say around 34 are under the Uganda Olympic Committee. But those sports played, assumed all over the country, that people know when it mentions a sport, you should be able to understand. There is, of course, there's a high realization of the role of sports in attainment of gender equality and empowerment of girls and women, and that's why we are here. Of course, this is the key cornerstone for eradication of gender-related issues such as GBV. So when men participate in sports, sports provides us that equality. Equality because when they say go to the starting line, it does not say because you're a woman, don't come. Say line up. In the sport where I am, which is an individual sport, we don't even talk about men and women. We talk about athlete. That's the name athlete. In athlete, we don't say a woman or a man. No, it doesn't. So that already brings in the aspect of equality. Sport is a community good. It's a community good, meaning it's consumed by each one of us. That even within your community, you should be able to participate in some bit of sport. Even Omweso, we used to play Omweso in my place. I didn't know it was a national sport or a sport that had rules. It was a very simple one. You would play, argue over it, and leave it there. But now we have a federation that can be able to do that. So we have sports within a community played either in a club, like we have the Swans Club, or under religious or cultural institutions. We have the Buganda, what they call it, Bika sport. Yes, am I right? Yes, so we have all those structures within our settings that participate in sport. At some point, members of the community play a role in advancing sports. If you are not encouraging your child, your neighbors' children to go and play sports, then we are doing what? We are doing a disservice. So beyond schools and community, sports plays a role in socialization. If you go to communities, what do you find young boys doing? They're playing what? Football. That's how they socialize. That's the role of sports. If a child is moody at home, you throw a ball, you see the ball, they start running around playing. That's the power of sports, that one is able, in the process, able to open up the challenges he or she is facing. And there are many times people prefer to leave home. They say, let me go to a playground and go forget my challenges at home, including even the one of hunger. When the hunger is beating you and there's nothing, you look around, the Sigiri, there's no life in the Sigiri, no charcoal, no nothing. You know things are hard. You can go to a playground, go to some place where people are playing, you try to forget, and that's the power of sports to address some of the challenges. The fundamental charter, the international charter on physical education, physical activity and sports, which was domesticated by Uganda, recognizes the fundamental right for equal opportunities to participate in and be involved at all levels of sports, as players, as administrators, as coaches, and that international framework gives us the power that you don't need to sit down and wait for somebody to tell you. Already you are given that power to participate in any type of sport you want. And that charter is reinforced by the Agenda 2030, that's the SDGs, especially the one which addresses gender-based violence, to eliminate all forms of violence against women and girls. And for us as a country, we've tried to align our plans to those international frameworks to ensure that we address this vice of gender-based violence. At the International Olympic Committee, that's the IOC, and the IF, international federations of each of the sports, their gender, the women commissions, or we sometimes we call them as gender equality and diversity, or women commission, or women committees. Each one of them is tasked to ensure that they come up with the plans to address the challenges of inequality in sports, to ensure there's parity in leadership, there's parity in the field of play. And in doing so, we encourage more women to participate in sport, women and girls to participate in sport. Olympism, for those who have done a little bit of Olympism, is all about how we can combine sports, culture, and education for the benefit of humanity. How we can break socio-economic and political barriers to lead dignified lives. That's what we preach as the Olympic Committee, we who are the link or affiliate of the IOC. That's what we preach through Olympism, to make sure that the values of Olympism, of respect, friendship, and excellence, if embraced, can mitigate against GBV. When you play sports, for those who have been in sports, when you play sports, the key component there you have is respect, it's friendship. We don't go there. Even when you look at boxing, when people are finished to box, you are defeated, what happens? The loser comes and what? Embraces you, right? That when you lose, we're not like politicians. When they lose, they create mayhem. No, we don't do that. For sports, once you're beaten, that is sports. Without the winner, number one, without the last person in there, there's no winner. That's the value of sports. That you accept the strength each one of you has, the joy of effort, the effort you put, because you don't go to play because you don't want to put that effort. That effort is what creates us to be, I can say, strong, to be able to appreciate the little wins or little losses. We see the players of Arsenal and Man U, when they play their football, they finish, whether they are beaten, Arsenal is beaten 5-0, people there, they go and embrace. While for us, who are watching on the screen, we are fighting. Why would you fight? The owners, the ones who are in the field of play, have embraced each other, they are happy. For you, you are here throwing chairs, throwing things at each other. No. So that is not sports. And I think that when as we go out there, fans should learn to behave like the sportsmen in the field of play. Through sports, we learn lessons for life about desirable and undesirable things anchored on rules. What creates order in sports is what we call rules. When you play rugby, there's no way you're going to make a try in half of the pitch, because where do you make the try? Until you cross. That's the rule. It's the same way. When there's a penalty, you've held the ball, whatever, there's a penalty. You cannot say, no. You start arguing, no, a rule is a rule. So that rule is what brings in discipline. And that is what should guide our lives out of field of play, in the community, in our homes. And that, of course, will bring into the play your neighbors, the people you live in at home. That's how we will be able to address some of this. So the spirit of sports is a celebration of the human spirit, the body, the will, and the mind, where there's no discrimination, no violence. Yes? So the moral aspect of this contributes to the positive development of an individual and a society. A society where you will not be able to see people punching each other, see people abusing each other. If that is what the good value of sports is. The sports philosophy from like judo, who knows judo? Those who know the game of judo, yes. There is the judo moral code, which you have to abide by it. You can be beaten, you come back and respect. And it's more of a Japanese, that respect you've seen. In taekwondo, the Honkick value of humanism, for example, call for non-violence. Then the same with the GBV. This philosophy also applies to many sports, where even if a referee gives you a red card, you don't go and punch him. You go and say, I accept the red card, I accept the yellow card. You can't, unless you are not a sports person. So sport is a tool that can give confidence to girls and women, boys and men, to address psychological challenges. And this is, we've said it before, you can use sport to make sure that you try to avoid the trauma. It helps you to have the social protection. It helps you to get some support, helps you to forget some challenges that just as you can go to a race and be last, it's the same way you can go to a race and win. When you are last, you go, we used to say, we call it guerrilla training. When you are beaten by your opponent, you don't go and punch. You go to do night training with a torch. So that next time when you go to run, you are ready for the race. But especially in sports, starts right from the family. The involvement and support of parents is the vanguard for girls and women. And that's why I'm happy we have some parents here, and all of us, those who have children, it's you who will be able to help your children participate in sport. How far they go in sports depends on how much you're able to support them. If they come home, they are beaten, and then you start to discourage them, you don't give them the confidence, then they will not participate in sport. So as a parent, even if it's the last, you encourage them to say, next time you train harder, you'll be number one, don't worry. So that kind of thing, so that the children are able to understand the value of sports, understanding the friendship, the joy of effort, the excellence, and all those aspects of sports. And the family plays a key role in providing safe space, time for their girl children, wives to participate and get involved in sports. Yes, if I can go and watch Man U, why do I always go to Kafunda and watch and celebrate and come home, go straight and sleep? Bring something, let my wife also be watching. If not, I take her to the Kafunda and we go and watch. Why not? So we need to make sure that people at home appreciate sports. And that's the only way. You cannot have a moody wife at home waiting for you because you do not buy. Take her, you go there. If you are drinking those things with the percentages, also give her, let her drink a bit, and you come home all happy people. That's what the power of sports is. As fans, as players, you can take them to participate because health is very important. The best and the most top sports athletes and players and leaders are those properly nurtured and supported by their families. You've seen, we have very many players whose coaches are their parents. Who knows the pole vaulter? Who knows pole vault, the sport of pole vault? Yes, you know pole vault. Yes, so can you tell them what pole vault is? No, okay. Yes, so in the pole vault, the Duplantis, Mondo Duplantis, the parents were behind him. The mother making sure that she prepares everything for him. The father making sure he provides him the correct coaching skills. That's what we need. You need to be a mentor for your children. If you've never played a sport, learn so your child will also know. And you can do the practice behind the house, because if you miss a ball, you kick it, you become a lad. You can do all those things. Practice what makes perfect. So you can slowly, when they see you interested, they'll also pick interest in sport. So we need to make sure that we are part and parcel of our children. Providing opportunities for girls and boys is a fundamental determinant factor for enabling girls to equally participate in sports with all its benefits. We said already there are a lot of benefits from sports. Unless you as a parent is able to stand in there for them, it will be very difficult. For those teachers, the schools or institutions of learning are the major players in promotion of sports. Sports in our culture is not known, it's not part of our culture. Sports is learned. Many of you learned sports when you went to school. P1, the PE teacher will tell you this and this. We used to do gymnastics. Now they have died, but I hope it will bring it back. They say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4. And as you're doing that, a child is also learning how to count numbers. And you're doing gymnastics until you reach 10, 10. You go in that order. It has died, but I hope one day they will bring it back. But it is good because children learn to go to school because they know they're going to have fun, because they're going to enjoy themselves, and that's why they go to school. In the process, they learn something. When the child reaches the primary 4, 5, the focus starts to come back. In P1, P2, they are not they don't go to school, they want to stay with the mother, but something that can take them to school is sports. So when they have those physical education opportunities and they learn to have fun, they'll every time want to come to school. So when children and young people get exposed and identify their talents in sports from schools, as I said, the long stay of a girl or woman in sports is determined by the continuity in education. Many times our girls are very good in school, they're good in sports. When they drop out, sports also goes. We've seen that. We've seen children who have performed well in primary school championships. The transition between the primary and secondary schools, there are so many dropouts. A child you saw playing very well netball when he was in the primary school X, assuming that he finished P7, he will be in the secondary school Y. You don't see that child playing netball. or the child forgets about. So it's important now, I'm talking this because the teachers are here. We're saying we want to use what? Sports, the power of sports, but we need to make sure for a girl to stay longer in sports, the girl must be in school. If you keep that girl at home with the gender-based violence around people and people having second thoughts, that child will be dropping out of school. Involving women and girls in sports can last as long as they're in school. This gives them opportunity for empowerment. That is, late in life, they'll need to fight GBV. When you're empowered woman, it's very easy to say no. You can only learn to say no if you're empowered. When you get empowered, when you are at school. You cannot drop out of school at the age of 14 and you're going to tell your husband when you get married, because I'm not saying that you should get married at the age of 14 because that's abuse, because I'll come for that man. That man who marries at the age of 14, that when you know the law, police officers know very well what will happen to that man. But even hopefully with the time, they shall start following people who married some women long time ago. We forgot about this. I'll go for them after so many years that you defiled this girl. But it was you, now your wife at the age of 50. You know, you remember 50 years ago you were. So we may have to use that one time, but that I leave it for other people to handle. But mine here today is for sports. So community sports programs, on the other hand, they break barriers, they reduce social inequalities, and foster mutual trust among diverse groups. If you went to this place, it's called Golf Course. There's a place there. People come there, in Entebbe, who come there for weekends. They do some bit of sports. The club, I think they play darts and the pool and all those kind of things. Those areas can continue to thrive. People can thrive to have sports, which are established by schools, by the community. Because when we leave school, we still come back to community level. So it's very important that we have clubs like the Swans Club, that we are there to pick up people both from school and out of school. These community places provide safe spaces and a sense of belonging to the participants. Communities have a role in promoting participation in sports by fostering social inclusion, physical health, social cohesion, and transforming sports into tools for empowerment. During those community centers, those which were established when we still had 45 districts, those centers now, some of them are demolished. Those centers were for communities, for sports, for knowledge acquisition, for people to network, which nowadays they have died. Now we do network on what? We network on the phone. And what do you get on the phone? At times the rubbish. I'm sorry to say at times the rubbish. You want something good, you can't get. People don't even give you second thought. When you ask a question, when I ask you face to face, you give me a very good answer. When I ask you a question on a WhatsApp, on WhatsApp, what do you give me? 1 or 2 words. So it's a big challenge. So those community facilities are there for people to interact. When they are available, please make sure they're used. You're able to pass information on to the people who come to attend those events. Of course, as I say, the theme for today is mainly on sport, value, and community. It is therefore a step into the right direction. We must ride and on the values of sport to achieve GBV-free community. Our capacity to eradicate GBV through sports in Uganda is based on, among other things, our ability to effectively incorporate the contribution of all stakeholders, the required skill sets, and positioning girls and women in our communities. There is need for us to have a collective action to prevent GBV in all its forms. That's why we are here. When we invited you, we said, community leaders, we are here for a purpose. Don't say we invited you for what. No, you're here for a purpose. We want to see what you can be able to contribute for us in addressing all of these. We should connect and build bridges to address GBV and promote interactions, positive mindsets, networks, and partnerships across the sports industry. There are several organizations such as the UN Women and those who know who have been working, I think Regina and the group, they've been working with those organizations that have mandate to ensure promotion of gender equality and empowerment of women and girls in all aspects of life, including sports. Within our communities, within our schools, within our workplaces, there is some thing that is happening, that is being planned, that has been implemented by organizations like the Ministry of Gender, like the Ministry of Education and Sports, Ministry of Health, and all of these have programs, and also our national sports federations and associations. The National Action Plan on Elimination of Gender-Based Violence was developed to guide efforts towards reduction of all forms of gender-based violence. It has the objectives. These objectives are to ensure that we foster zero-tolerance environment for gender-based violence, establish and provide comprehensive response, care and support services to survivors of GBV. And each one of us is encouraged to do that. And it is expected to improve accountability and eliminate impunity for gender-based violence. In addition to the plan, there are other complementary programs for gender-based violence, like the Spotlight Initiative on ending violence against children. We have the UN Joint Program for women and children, also the National Male Involvement Strategy for Prevention and Response for GBV. In Uganda, the Multimedia Strategy Against GBV, and also the Strategic Plan on Elimination of Violence Against Children in and around school, that's under Ministry of Education, and the National Plan of Action for the Sexual Gender-Based Violence Against Children, which is under Ministry of Health, and also the Gender for Development Uganda, that's an NGO targeting adolescents in school. So in your school, there must be some program. If you can ask Regina later, if in your school you don't have such a program, she will be able to give you some linkage that you're able to see who can help in that. The girls program, this is the framework, provides an opportunity to build confidence, leadership, and resilience among the youth while equipping the communities with the practical skills, and that's why we are here, to prevent and respond to GBV. The girls is, the first time I said girls, why girls? You think to the woman, no, it has something different. We're talking about girls in rugby, learning through what? Sports. We call it girls. And this girl can happen anywhere. We've chosen rugby this time. Possibly we can use another sport to be able to reach out there. And it can also be replicated, not only here in Wakiso, but can also be replicated in where you come from. I know each one of us has a village. Few of us have a village within the city, but all of us have a village. A village is where you have, where your grandparents, or when we retire in life, we shall be able to rest forever. So that's still our village. In my view, sports can only prevent GBV if there's coordination and coherence at policy levels, engagement of multi-sectoral partnership at implementation level. The link is between the partners that address GBV, like the Swans Club and the Rugby Union, should lead us to dream of the free environment without discrimination and violence based on gender. Many strategies can be used to fight GBV in our communities, in the country, and I wish to highlight the following. One is the removal of hurdles. When I say hurdles, people at times ask, for us we use the terminology or use to hurdles is in running those bars you put. Remove hurdles for women and girls to start and complete the sports cycle, laugh or make a try. That when a girl starts, make sure they're able to complete, be from an amateur, maybe go to a professional, or be consistently in a sports environment, and provide a smooth and safe sports environment free of harassment and discrimination. That the coaches who work with them, the athletes support personnel are not harassing these athletes by making them feel small, making them feel weak, making them not achieve their dreams. The then purpose to use the school system or clubs as launch pads for anti-doping, for anti-GBV campaign. Sports brings people together, and in Uganda, with close to 70% of people under the age of 17, it can be galvanizing tool for social good, including the fight against GBV. You can use your students to speak to their parents, to their communities, and thereby act as change agents. And I hope when you get back, you'll be able to have some change agents in your school to make sure those who have learned, and you even being a change agents, to tell people about the GBV, how to fight, how to prevent GBV within the schools, within the homes, within the community. We can use the convening power of sports to create awareness about GBV during competitions, We can have both fans and players to benefit, organize activities, because the sports brings people together. Much as we talk about sports venues, even in those small places where we go and watch Arsenal and Man U play, those are areas where we can even talk about some of these, because sports bring you together, makes you convene. We can use sports icons like Halima Nakai. Who knows Halima Nakai? At least people should know her. Halima Nakai, we don't know her. You can still get your icons within your sports and use them as ambassadors. And for those who are following, also we had, as a follow-up of Rebecca Cheptegei, that's the lady, the Olympian who was killed by the husband of a property which she earned, which she didn't contribute to. We had a small movie which was shared, and there were many viewers to let people understand that sports or GBV can happen in any form, and try to address the issue of GBV. And we can focus on male engagement and socio-cultural norms transformation, strengthen the family as the basic unit for national development, positive and responsible parenting. Because you cannot run away if you are an absentee parent. You come home, children have slept. You get awake when you have gone to school. They come home, you are out. By the time you come back, they have slept. So that you don't even see your children. Monday to Sunday, they don't know you. Even when they ask you what the name of this boy, you don't know, you cannot recall. And those are challenges that we have. So we're saying parenting is very important. Parents, please, GBV cannot be fought. It cannot be fought unless we play our role as parents to make our children understand what GBV is, to make sure they are not part and a parcel of that vice. And that comes from us, the family, and that comes from how you bring up your children to understand. So the absentee, if you're being an absent parent, please, from here, take it that you'll try to be present in your children's lives. So I take this opportunity to thank the Uganda Rugby Union and the Swans Club, Sports Club, for spearheading the project for GBV and recognizing the importance to strengthen stakeholder engagement in addressing issues of gender-based violence through sports in Uganda. This project can be replicated in any part of the country and through any other sport. You can do it within your community, do it in your school, do it in your institution, do it in your church. Allow me to appreciate the participants who have contributed to ensure we live in a GBV-free environment and allow boys and girls, men and women, meaningfully engage in sports activities within their schools and community. It's my hope that what we have learned in the 3 days can be put to use. We shall make a follow-up. You registered. We shall make a follow-up to see which school has changed agents, which school has formed some clubs for rugby, which school has provided some land, which institution, cultural institution, which religious institution has a small sports activity for its people, and during those functions, those activities, they're able to raise awareness on gender-based violence. We need sports organizations and other stakeholders to develop options that are sustainable, friendly for all, and create positive impact in our lives. We need to intensify our efforts in investing in the strategic leadership, empower both men and women to understand the spirit of Olympism that proclaims harmonious coexistence at all levels. We said, for us in sports, you are beaten, you come with so many punches, blood, but you still go and impress your opponent. That's the kind of thing that we want to see in our communities. That's why we're having this program, using rugby as a learning point for girls, but that is not remaining only with the rugby. It goes within our community, the power of sports that you can establish. From one sport of rugby, you can have another sport, maybe netball, you can have another sport, a judo, taekwondo, whichever sport you can introduce in your community. For teachers, please, I'm encouraging you to look out to get more information. Some of these sports, you have facilities. If your school is one of the traditional schools, in that school, you must have 3 pitches if they have not encroached on it. 3 pitches. You should be having a basketball court. You should be having one for volleyball. You should have a court for netball. You will have a track for athletics around the football pitch. These are the original schools. And also the 62 schools, sports schools will have this. I know some of the sports schools received equipment from Ministry of Education. Those things are packed. They are packed somewhere. Why? Because even you don't know what they look like. We don't know what they are. You have a disco, you ask yourself, what is this? And you're a coach, you're a sports teacher. So I encourage you to apply for learning what we call SAC. Elijah is here. If you have not done SAC, Sports Administrators course, it's a simple course, 3 days. Elijah, SAC is how many days? 3 days. 3 days, I encourage you as the UOC. Now I've moved a bit from gender-based violence. As a SAC, you need to understand the basic, what sports management is. Basic. It's free of charge, online, 3 days. You can attend it wherever you come from. So I think we are recruiting the next cohort. The next cohort is on, so make sure you are part and parcel of that. So the ideological imitation of the fairness value of sports can greatly enhance achievement of GBV-free society in Uganda in the near future. That is our dream. I know I've taken much of your time, but I hope I was able to share some few things to really, for us to be able to understand, and later on how when the panelists come here to discuss with them and see how best we can contribute to address gender-based violence using sports and the structures of the religious institutions, the schools, the churches, the traditional institutions, and our families as a base. So thank you very much for listening to me. Unfortunately, it was a keynote address. I will not ask people to ask questions. If you have any question, you ask them later, but I'm available. I can respond to anything. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Madam. Any questions?
Morning, how are you?
I think you were very elaborative. Thank you, Madam, for your keynote and time. Another round of applause. We appreciate that keynote. Now I'm going back to my mode of yesterday. Hey, you people, you ashamed me. You didn't even remember Rebecca after I said yesterday. After I talked about Rebecca, and then even no one knows Halima. Oh, you people are shy because now we have the Secretary General among us. You're now shy. I didn't know you're shy people. Madam, these people are very wise. They're just very shy. But they know all these things. And then when they talked about Arsenal, I saw our face of yesterday. Why Arsenal is beaten? Anyway, but at least the key word I also picked out. The key word I picked from, I think, the keynote is something that rings back to what we were talking about yesterday, which is parents to be present. For those of you that are yawning, we said we do what? We do the game, But the key words were parents to be what? To be present. It goes back to our statements of yesterday. So if a parent you're not present, then this is the seminar for you. For those that are present, this is also a seminar for you to continue being present. So before we go to the next item on our agenda, as we stretch our legs, I feel it would be nice we have that group photo with our keynote speaker before they get to have other outside arrangements coming in. So, but as we prepare ourselves, because we shall, I think, have to organize ourselves here to use this wonderful background, Do you know the person next to you? If you know the person next to you, put up your hand. Then it means you're seated to the person you sat with yesterday. So switch. Hey, Mbakuti, I have grabbed you very well. You thought I won't get you. So switch. I said it in the morning, you all said no switching. So now if you know the person next to you, it means that's the person you're seated with yesterday. So we do what? We switch. You just benchmarked. We went straight to the keynote. Remember, we finished breakfast. We did our opposite dance. We went to the keynote speaker. So when did you benchmark? During the dance. Your multitasking skills have to be questioned. By osmosis. Because Abraham actually should be the one. Abraham, he was stayed there yesterday. Okay, as they arrange here, I hope you know the person next to you. You know what they do. It should be nice to know the person, what they do. The person might be a farmer of rats, because I'm told these days, and for you, you have them in your house and you want them taken away. The person can help you. So please, get to know what the person does. Hey, you could be of help to one another. You provide the animals, and for your home becomes safe. Okay? So we'll have, I don't know, Regina, you'll do it, who deserves to be here and who deserves to be at the back. The keynote speaker, with who? Who was the honor to sit near the rest of them? Because me, I would love to be up this end. So we could have the ASP, we could have actually from the different institutions. So we have from the local council, we have from the police, the religious leader, the keynote speaker. Those are the four. Is it four here? Yes. Then they can. So we have the four, I think, institutions: keynote speaker, religious leader, local council, and is it the police? And we are lucky that actually I think Mr. William will be nice, because for him he covers all angles, local and also head teacher and so for you, senior citizen, head teacher, everything. You know. So, Madam Beatrice, you come here. The rest of us, we can be. Please make sure you're seen. I'm told. You come here. We can stand in each other's shoulders, the spaces. Now you, you're the tallest, you're behind. For those that are dark, make sure your neighbor is light-skinned so that we can see you. Please, selfies can be done later. Let us, I think we are saying the word, girls, boys, what? Fene? 10? White. But they are also boys. I know girls, we mean the project, but now.
No, you are the fixer. You are the fixer.
Please smile. Your neighbor is not smiling. You do the opposite dance. We are breathing in, they take the pictures quickly.
What time are you taking the picture? They have not taken. 8, 9, 8, 7.
Is that it? All right. Thank you very much. Please switch your seats. If you know your neighbor, switch the seats. If you haven't said hi to your neighbor,